Hello and welcome back, grade 2 students. Today we're going to continue with Unit 4, Earth's Surface, Lesson 1. What is water found on Earth, Part 2. We're going to cover the following points today. Lesson 1, where is water found on Earth? Rivers and Oceans section, page 190. And we're going to watch a few videos about it. So let's start. We open our books to page 190. Rivers and oceans. Look at the pictures to explore rivers and oceans. So we're going to take each part aside. We're going to start with the rivers. Okay? So if you observe the picture carefully, we can see a river. What do you guys think? Have you ever seen a river before? How does it look like? So, guys, the river is a body of water, okay, but it's not a still body of water. It is a moving body of water that flows from one place to another. It flows, okay? So let's check and see what are the patterns about a river. Most rivers contain fresh water. Rivers may be wide or narrow. They all have land on two sides. Rivers begin on high ground. They flow downward into other rivers, lakes, and oceans. These features are patterns because they show what rivers have in common. So I'm going to read it one more time, then I'm going to explain. Most rivers contain fresh water. Rivers may be wide or narrow. They all have land on two sides. Rivers begin on high ground. They flow downward into other rivers, lakes, and oceans. These features are patterns because they show what rivers have in common. So, what are the characteristics of the river? What does a river look like? What does it have? Does it have salty water or fresh water? Let's check out and see. First of all, most rivers have fresh water. That's one. So most rivers have fresh water. Second thing, they're telling us that rivers may be wide or narrow. So they might be wide or narrow. They're talking about the shape of it, okay? And we're gonna see it in a bit. So the rivers may be wide, okay, or narrow. So they may be wide or narrow. You may stand next to your mom and keep a big space between both of you guys and you'll have a wide river. Then you may come closer a bit and you'll have a narrow river, closer even more than a bit, okay? And you'll get a narrow river. What else? They're telling us that they all have land on two sides, and we can observe in the picture that this river has land on both sides. So it's not on all sides, only on both sides, okay? Also, they're telling us how do the rivers start. The rivers begin on high ground. So they start from a high point, okay? It's called the source, a high point, and then it flows downward to other rivers, lakes, and oceans, okay? And these are the features, or these features, which means these characteristics, okay, of the river. What does it look like? Are patterns because they show what rivers have in common. Which means each time, every time, each time, every time, each time, every time I say a river, I remember these points. What are they? 1. Most rivers contain fresh water. 2. Rivers may be wide or narrow. They may be wide or narrow. 3. All rivers have land on both sides. All rivers have land on both sides. What about the rivers? How do they start? Rivers start or begin on a high ground, okay, so they begin on a high ground and they flow downward to other rivers, oceans, or lakes. So, let's review them one more time, but this time in a new way. What about the rivers? Let's go. Rivers. Most rivers contain fresh water. That's 1. Most rivers contain fresh water. That's 1. 2. Rivers may be wide or narrow. Rivers may be wide or narrow. Rivers may be wide or narrow. Okay? Clear? What else? Number 3. All rivers are surrounded by land on both sides. All rivers are surrounded by land on both sides. All rivers are surrounded by land On both sides, all rivers are surrounded by land. On both sides, okay? What about the rivers? How do they start? Rivers begin on a high ground and they flow downwards into other rivers, oceans, and lakes. One more time. Rivers, what about the rivers? What are the patterns of rivers? What are the characteristics, the features of rivers? Okay, most rivers contain fresh water, that's one. Most rivers contain fresh water, that's one. Two, rivers may be wide or narrow. Rivers may be wide or narrow, okay? Clear? What else? Check out. See, this is a wide river. This is a narrow river. Clear? Wide river, narrow river. What else? All rivers are surrounded by land. On both sides, again, all rivers are surrounded by land. On both sides, okay? Check. See, the wide river has land on both sides and the narrow river has land on both sides. Rivers begin on a high ground and flows downward into other rivers, lakes, and oceans. Okay. Rivers begin on a high ground and flow downward into other rivers, lakes, and oceans. See, so it starts at a high point and then flows downward into other rivers, lakes, and oceans. Clear so far? Let's watch a video about the rivers.
Hi, my name is Emerald Robinson, and in this What Is video, we're going to try to determine what exactly defines a river. A river is a natural stream of fresh water that has a current and moves toward another body of water, such as an ocean, lake, or another river. Rivers can be of different sizes, and local terms can cause the actual definition of a river to be vague. What one person calls a river, another might term a brook, a rill, or a creek. A river's origin is called its source. Since rivers flow downhill,
see, it starts from a high point and flows downward.
Water comes from snowmelt or an underground spring. A river flows between its sides or banks in what's called a channel. The channel increases its size as the river gains water from other smaller streams or tributaries. A river's journey ends when it meets a lake or the sea at a point called its mouth.
Okay, guys, so it starts from a high point and flows downward to into other rivers, lakes, or oceans. Let's continue. Now we'll continue on page 190. Okay, guys. Now we're gonna check out the ocean. Take a minute to observe the picture carefully. What's special about this picture? If you want to compare it to the river, which one is bigger? Or if you want to compare it to the lakes and the ponds as well, which one is bigger? Excellent, the ocean. The ocean looks and seems to be the biggest among all four, right? Ponds, lakes, rivers, and oceans. Let's read what about it. Oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. Ocean water is salty. Oceans cover most of Earth's surface and hold almost all its water. These features are patterns because they show what oceans have in common. I'm gonna reread it one more time, then I'm gonna explain. Okay, guys? Oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. Ocean water is salty. Oceans cover most of Earth's surface and hold almost all of its water. These features, remember features means characteristics, are patterns because they show what oceans have in common. Let's check out and see. So first of all, they're telling us that oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. Among what? Remember, guys, we have four bodies of water. We have lakes, ponds, rivers, and oceans. Oceans are the biggest, the largest bodies of water on Earth. They're telling us that the oceans do not have fresh water. They have salty water. Excellent. What else? They're telling us that oceans cover most of Earth's surface and holds all of its water, which means most of Earth's surface water is salty. Excellent. Telling us that these features are patterns because they show what oceans have in common. One more time. So what do oceans have in common? They have 3 main points. How many? 3 main points. 1. Oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. Oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. Oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. Correct. What kind of water do oceans have? Oceans have salty water. Oceans have salty water. Oceans have salty water. Okay? Clear? What else? Oceans cover most of Earth's surface and holds almost all of its water. So most of the water on Earth is what? Found in its oceans. Clear? So Earth's surface is covered by the ocean's water. Clear so far? So most of Earth's surface is covered by the what? Ocean's water. Let's go. Ocean's water cover most of Earth's surface and hold almost all of its water. Again, oceans cover most of Earth's surface, okay, and holds almost all of its water. One more time. Oceans are what are the patterns about oceans? Let's go one more time. What are the patterns of oceans? Oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. Again, oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. What about the ocean's water? How is it? Ocean's water is salty. Ocean's water is salty. Ocean's water is salty. What else? Oceans cover most of Earth's surface and holds almost all of its water. So whenever we say ocean, we have 3 things that will come to our mind. 3 or 4? What do you guys think? 3 main things, okay, and we divided the 3rd point into 2 smaller points. Let's go again. What about oceans? What are the patterns about oceans? Oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. Oceans are the largest bodies of water on Earth. All oceans have salty water. Again, all oceans have salty water. What about the ocean's water? What does it cover? Oceans cover most of Earth's surface. Ocean's water covers most of Earth's surface. Ocean's water covers most of Earth's surface and holds almost all of Earth's water. Clear so far? Let's watch the video.
Hi, my name is Emerald Robinson, and in this What Is video, we'll take a look at Earth's biggest body of water, the ocean. The ocean can be defined as any of the large bodies of salt water that cover, in total, over 70% of the Earth. Because all of these bodies are connected, there's technically only one big ocean on Earth. Geographers have divided this world ocean into 5 smaller oceans. These 5 are, in order from biggest to smallest, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Antarctic Ocean, or Southern Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean.
Now let's move on page 190. Write oceans or rivers to complete the following sentence. There are different bodies of water. Which one flows into the other? Excellent! Rivers flow into oceans. Great. Thank you. That's all.